Hi everyone, today is day 3 of Stitch Maynia and I am working on the Pokemon cross stitch. Today I'm going to be talking about my other hobbies besides cross stitching and how I got into them. The first hobby that I ever got into was actually painting. I used to paint a lot when I was younger and I used to take painting classes. And my favorite artists were Pablo Picasso, Degas, a lot of impressionist artists. I really liked pointillism, watercolor. Basically, if it had anything to do with art, I loved it. That's what made me want to be a graphic designer. I actually wanted to be an architect, but I'm not really good at math, and I didn't realize how much math went into building buildings at the time. And the next best thing for me was graphic design in order to express my creativity and still be within the arts. Besides painting, I also enjoy reading. I am a bookworm. I don't buy my books retail. I actually buy my books at thrift stores or discount bookstores. I'm not a fan of ebooks. I like to actually hold the physical book in my hand. I don't have a favorite genre of books. I read anything. The only thing I'm really not into, but I'll read it if it sounds interesting, is sci-fi and the murder mystery style books. Something different that I'm just not into them, but I will read them if someone tells me that that's one of their favorites or it's a recommendation that they have and they really enjoyed it, and so then they'll see what my reaction is to it, so then I'll read those books. So yeah, most of my books come from thrift stores or from used bookstores. I don't have a specific genre, so I enjoy reading. I'm an avid reader. I probably if I had all my books on a bookshelf, the standard 5-slot bookshelf, I probably could fill up 2 entirely. So I have a lot of books, tons of books, and I do reread most of them. The book that I've always read and keep reading is a book called The Phantom Tollbooth. It's my favorite book. I've read it. It was actually a book that my 4th grade teacher read to us, and I had the same teacher from 4th grade all the way up to 6th grade. And the premise of the book is there's a little boy named Milo who wishes he was somewhere else when he was in school, and that when he gets home from school, he wishes he was back in school. He's never satisfied with anything in his life. He happens to be an only child, and one day he gets this random gift in his room, and it tells him to build this toll booth. And he happens to have a toy car, so he gets in the toy car, follows the directions that the gift had said, and he enters this world of knowledge. And basically he learns how education can be fun. He learns that some things are not always what they seem to be. And the book, every time I read it, I learn something new from it. Even though it is a child's book, it is one of my favorites. And that's The Phantom Tollbooth. And I will continue to read it for as long as I can. The other hobbies that I have besides reading and painting, I taught myself how to crochet and knit. When I was younger, my grandma had taught me how to knit a scarf with 2 needles. And that's all actually, she taught me how to do a chain. And that's all I knew how to do. Couldn't do anything else. So then I sat with my mom, and she helped figure out how to do an actual knitting stitch. And I think at the time it was just the knit stitch that I knew how to do. I didn't know how to do anything else. and I must have been 11 at that time. And so I just made one scarf. And the funny thing is, my mom started the scarf, and then I knitted until I didn't have any more yarn, and then she finished it because I didn't know how to finish it. And it was a teal blue one, and I wore it to school because I was proud of myself that I had knitted a scarf. And then I didn't pick it up for several years. I actually picked up crocheting when I was in college. I would ride the BART train, which is kind of like a subway for the Bay Area, and I would ride that to school in the mornings and ride it back home. And since I didn't have anything to do while sitting there for just about an hour on the train, I spent most of my free time, if I had any, between work and school, watching beginner crocheting videos on YouTube. And that's how I taught myself how to crochet. And I've done crochet blankets, I've done crochet scarves, beanies. I think that's about it. I attempted to do a sweater that I'm still working on. So I haven't finished the sweater yet, but I've done blankets, beanies, and scarves. So far, I've actually gotten back into knitting recently, and I'm really enjoying circular needles. So I've been doing beanies with my circular needles. I recently did a 24-hour knitting challenge, and basically I just wanted to see how much yarn I can work through. I was able to complete 4 beanies using 4 skeins of yarn within that time period, and I think that's pretty good. I'm not a fast knitter. I still consider myself a beginner, but I really enjoyed it. I think I did pretty well. Just stashing 4 skeins of yarn. So I'm still trying to get this in frame. Here we go. There we go. So I was able to do that. And so knitting, crocheting, cross stitching, of course, reading books and painting are my main hobbies. I enjoy them very much. I try to dabble into all of them so I don't neglect any of them. I do have an issue like any other crafter. I start things and then sometimes I finish them, sometimes I don't. I have seasons where I just want to only crochet so I don't touch anything else, or I just want to cross stitch and not worry about everything else. So it just depends on what my mood is, if I want to complete a project or leave it unfinished, come back to it later. I like to make sure I have options, I guess. But I do finish them eventually. I just don't have a deadline for them. Let's cut this off. There we go. Oops, my paper fell. Alright, here we go. There we go. Alright. I really like how this is coming out. I got a fuzzy. So yeah, besides those are my main hobbies that I really enjoy working on. And when I stumbled upon the different cross stitch patterns, I actually happened to look on Etsy, and the first one that I had seen was a Disney one, and I really liked it. So then I figured, okay, well, let me see if I can find a Disney pattern that I really want to work on. And that's when I saw that Thomas Kincaid had made, or that I think they were called MGM Textiles, had a contract with Thomas Kincaid to do Disney cross-stitch patterns from his paintings. And I was fortunate enough to be able to pick up the Disney Dream ones when they had it available. So I was really lucky there, and I am a huge Disney fan. Always have been. To this day, I still watch them, and I'll go to the theaters and watch them when new movies come out. So Cinderella happens to be my first cross-stitch project from there. I've bought a Boston Red Sox one that I've completed. I've done a bookmark. I've done, I think that's it. But I do like the fact that with cross-stitch, there's so many different patterns that you can choose from. And the fact that you don't have to stay within a certain genre. For example, me, I enjoy cross-stitching, but I don't do samplers. I don't like samplers. It's not my style. So doing, for example, like this Pokemon one, it's a modern approach to a traditional hobby or an old school hobby. So I really enjoyed that. I'm hoping to at least start another cross-stitch pattern, maybe later on in the year. Again, the goal here is just for me to have at least half of this, a good portion of the Cinderella one done, but I do want to get this Pokemon one done this year because it is a Christmas gift, as you guys know, and I need to have it done so that I can frame it. I don't have any paintings that I have completed for myself and like hung up in my house, but I do have paintings that I like from different painters, but I don't have any artwork like that hanging in my house right now. I don't have, I think the only stuff that I do have from the hobbies that I enjoy working on, I have one super long scarf that's color blocked that I wear in the wintertime that I really enjoy. And I also have 2 crocheted blankets that I have in my living room as part of decor and functional use. When it gets cold, someone can like wrap themselves up with it, or you're just lounging on the couch. So I do have 2 of those, but other than that, I don't have anything else hobby-wise but from the fiber arts that are displayed. And then I have one California king size blanket that I crocheted for my husband in his Boston Red Sox colors. He enjoys that one. It is getting kind of warm here where I'm at in Northern California. It's been about 80 in the 80s and high 90s, or low 90s, high 80s. So he hasn't had that much use in it, using the blanket, but the times that he has used it, he really enjoys it. I have made lots of baby blankets as baby shower gifts. I've given several of those away already as gifts, and I try to tailor not just the color, but the shape of the blanket to the baby that's going to be having it. I've done a star-shaped baby blanket for a little girl. I've done a blue one for my cousin's little boy. I've done green ones. So I just tailor the color and the shape of the blanket to the baby. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed spending time with me today. I am going to be doing short videos for the whole month as I work on these projects. And I will have Instagram updated with the daily progress. I'll have different topics throughout the day that I talk about, or throughout the different days for the month. And if you guys have any suggestions, comments, or just want to say hello, go ahead and leave a comment below. And I appreciate the time you've taken today to spend time with me. Hope you guys have a great weekend. Like and subscribe, and I will talk to you guys again tomorrow.